For centuries, it was a legend. Then it returned. For 3 years, the kingdom of Elioren has lived in silence. Not the silence of peace, but the kind that follows conquest. The kind that settles after war, when the shouting ends, but the consequences remain. A silence filled with debt, with tension, with things left unsaid. And in that silence, something began to change. Not in the streets, not in the courts, but above them and below them. Elioren was not a weak kingdom. Its borders stretched farther than they ever had before. Its banners had been carried across valleys, rivers, and into lands that once stood against it. But expansion comes with a cost, and that cost had not yet been paid. The treasury was thinning, trade routes were failing, roads that once carried wealth now carried fear. And inside the kingdom, the council no longer spoke with one voice. At the center of it all sat King Ilan, not a conqueror, not a warlord, but a man forced to rule in the aftermath of both. Deep beneath the keep, far from the noise of power, there was a chamber where the truth of the kingdom lived. No banners, no soldiers, only ledgers. The chamber was carved into ancient stone, older than the kingdom itself, cold, silent, unforgiving. Shelves lined the walls filled with records of everything the kingdom had gained and everything it had lost. Taxes, trade, war, tribute, every victory reduced to numbers. And at the center of it, Ilan sat alone. He read slowly, carefully, not as a king chasing glory, but as a man searching for truth. And the truth was simple. Elioren was bleeding, not from a single wound, but from 1,000 small ones. Revenues from the east were falling. Caravans from the south arrived half empty or didn't arrive at all. Northern tolls came late, if they came at all. The roads had changed. They were no longer pathways of trade. They had become risks. The outer garrisons demanded more men, more weapons, more coin, because holding a kingdom is harder than conquering one, and far more expensive. Every mile of land gained through war had to be defended, supplied, controlled, and slowly that burden was becoming too heavy to carry. Ilan understood something the others refused to see. The kingdom wasn't failing, it was paying for victories that had already been celebrated, paying for land taken years ago, paying for fear. His brother Valkarius had built this empire through strength, through domination, and it had worked for a time. Fear had filled the treasury, tribute had flowed in, the kingdom had grown, fast and powerful. But fear does not last forever. It fades, and when it does, it leaves something behind, resentment. And then came the worst discovery of all. Coin was disappearing, not stolen in raids, not lost in war, but vanishing from within the kingdom itself. Storehouses remained sealed, guards reported nothing unusual, records showed no error, and yet the numbers did not match reality. Someone was stealing from the crown. This was no longer just a financial crisis, it was something deeper, a crack forming inside the foundation of the kingdom itself, because when a kingdom cannot trust its own walls, it is already under siege. And so Ilan did something few kings would do. Before facing the council, he went to someone who remembered, Thalinis. She was older than the current order of the kingdom, older than the illusion of control, older than the illusion of control. She had seen the beginning, and she had survived everything that followed. "You walk like a man carrying ledgers inside his chest," she told him.
And she was right, because Ilan was not just carrying numbers, he was carrying consequences. Falinus did not offer solutions, she offered something far more dangerous: perspective. The council would offer strength, it would offer ambition, it would offer fear disguised as necessity. And Ilan would have to choose. In the Great Hall, the future of Elioren was debated, not quietly, not calmly, but like a storm waiting to break. Serah spoke of law, of order, of structure. Edrikan spoke of control, of systems, of survival through discipline. Valkarius spoke of war. He said, "Take what we need, expand again." And then Kaelion spoke, calm, calculated, dangerous in a different way. He did not offer conquest, he offered salvation, gold, enough to stabilize the kingdom, enough to solve the crisis, but nothing comes without cost. In exchange, he demanded time, not 5 years of rule, 10. Not aid, control, delayed. The council fractured. No decision was made, no path was chosen, and the burden returned to Ilan alone. War would drain the kingdom. Gold would bind it. Inaction would break it. Every path led to loss, but none of them with the greatest danger. Because while kings argued and councils fractured, something else was already awakening. Not in the courts, not in the armies, but deep beneath the world itself, waiting, listening, and soon it would rise. This is where the story truly begins.